Excellent. Welcome back to Ascend Live, everybody. First, before we start, let's all take a moment for a deep breath, all right? There we go. That feels good. Now I'm ready to get going. I'm really excited for today. So in week one, we built your client engine, right? And then last week, we had week two, where we refined your messaging so it converts. And today, we bring precision to everything. This is huge. Today is about clarity that converts. So important because clarity reduces friction. And that's what we're trying to do here. Because when friction drops, growth becomes natural. Excuse me. So if you've ever struggled to explain what you do clearly or felt like people almost get it, but not quite, you're not behind. You are just one layer away from precision. Right, Christine?
Absolutely. I totally agree. And clarity is coming. And when your message feels clear in your body, your nervous system settles. And when your nervous system settles, your clients feel it because regulated businesses convert.
Yes. Beautiful. Perfect. Thank you, Christine. So today's session is interactive, as they all are. If you've been here for weeks one and two, you know we have a lot of engagement, which is awesome. I love it. So, feel free to start the chat out now. Chat up now. Say hello. Whatever. I'm sure Christine's taking care of the chat, so she'll be talking to you in there. So throughout this presentation, I will ask you some short questions. When I do, you can type your answer in the chat, and Christine will answer those and maintain that chat discussion. Short answers, one sentence, one word, they're all perfect. Whatever you want, even throw a thumbs up, a heart, whatever. Any engagement is good. We want people to interact and be involved and participate
Hello,
because
everyone.
participation creates clarity. So if you're ready to engage and participate with us, type ready in the chat. That'll get it going. I see some activity there already, so that's awesome. You guys are a great group. So let's talk about why clarity matters. So most wellness entrepreneurs do not struggle because of talent or effort. We know that. We talk about that often. They struggle because of friction. And friction is almost always caused by lack of clarity. So, when you get that question, when somebody asks you, what do you do? And if it takes you more than 20 seconds to answer, there's friction there. We're working on eliminating that today because friction slows growth. And always remember, you're not behind and you're not underqualified, nor are you bad at business. And you're definitely not missing a secret strategy, right? People are always talking about all these hacks and secret strategies, and they discovered the next big thing. But you're likely just unclear in one area. And today we're going to remove that obstacle.
Gerry, I want to just say one thing. I see Farouk, thank you for coming, by the way, raised his hand. And I know that our rules are we'll do the presentation and then we'll answer all the questions in sequence at the end. I hope you understand that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christine. Perfect. The real growth block is lack of positioning. Positioning is so important. So we're going to talk about that definitely today. Because when positioning is unclear, you attract misaligned inquiries. This is where you're getting the wrong people that are responding to your message. We want to eliminate that. Also, you hear price objections, right? Because when you're speaking to the wrong people, they don't see the value in what you're offering. And that's where we want that alignment. And that's where clarity is so necessary. And you also feel like you're trying to convince someone. And that's where it feels salesy, right? We always talk about feeling salesy. We don't want to be salesy. Well, when you're trying to convince someone, that's what it feels like. You're being salesy and you're chasing people. We don't want that. There's a better way. And when that happens, what happens internally, right? You tend to over explain, you hesitate, you tweak your bio weekly. We've been there, right, Christine?
Absolutely. I've done all of that. And you know what? Your body knows it. And there's tension. You second guess your pricing and yourself. You feel even slightly apologetic. And you know, that's not a strategy issue, that's a clarity issue.
That's right. Yeah, we've all been there. I know. I've done that so many times. I think I've probably gone through, 150 profiles, changing them all the time, trying. I mean, you have to test everything though. So that's part of the gig. That's part of the journey. So don't feel bad about that either. Like I said, we've all been there. But when positioning is clear, the right people self-identify, right? Conversations shorten, they tighten up, and decisions accelerate. And that's what we want. We're trying to take the shortest path to um, them making a decision on whether or not they want to work with you. And the clearer your message is, you eliminate a lot of that friction prior to even connecting, right? They already know they want what you offer when it's clear. And that's great. That's what we want. They're ready to connect with you and pretty much sign on before you even met. So when you're clear, you speak calmly and you stop chasing. And this is like the greatest feeling in the world. That's where you want to be. You actually attract the right people because clarity is confidence, and confidence changes everything. It's huge, so big. So here's how clarity reduces friction. When your messaging is clear, there will be fewer objections, faster decisions, and ultimately better referrals. And this is when things are really humming and moving along well, and you feel great about everything. This is a good place to be. And growth accelerates because resistance decreases. This is huge. This is so big. So let's do a quick exercise in the chat. Christine, we want to keep Christine busy over there. She loves it. She loves talking in the chat, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, how clearly can you explain what you do in 15 seconds? Type your number in the chat between 1 and 10. Where are you at? Let us know. I'll give you like 30 seconds to get that in there.
Yeah, the numbers are coming.
I see them. 6, 7, 9, 5. Wow. I love it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. It's so good. I think we got them all in. So now type one word in the chat. Just one word describing what keeps it from being a 10. What's keeping you from putting a 10 down? Give me that one word in the chat. I'll give you a little more time for that one. That's a little tougher. That takes some thought, right? What is holding you back? Neuroscience. Okay. See some stuff coming through. Excellent, excellent. So that gap between your number and a complete clarity of 10, this gap is opportunity, which means there's room for growth, right? This is big. So we want opportunity. We want areas that we can improve and grow. So this is what this is telling you right here. There's that gap. It means I can improve upon what I'm doing. Notice the patterns. This is awareness. And awareness is the beginning of improvement. It's first you have to be aware, and then you know, okay, I can fix things. So the awareness is huge. And clarity comes down to three components: who you serve, the problem you solve, and the outcome you create. Now, if even one of those is vague, growth tends to slow down. So let's break it down. First, let's talk about who you serve, because what you offer is not for everyone, right? And that's why specificity matters. Because and that's not a limitation, not being for everyone. It's it's actually positioning power. Specificity creates magnetism, and feeling seen equals feeling safe. And this is when you attract the right people. And if you say you help anyone who wants better health, you're really helping no one. It's too broad, it's too vague. Nobody's hearing the message. There's no alignment to be had because specificity builds authority. This is important. This is so big. That's where we make the right connections. Because when someone sees themselves clearly in your message, their brain relaxes, it feels good. It's like, oh, okay. It's because recognition builds trust. And that's what we want. We want people to know, like, and trust us. That's when people want to work with you. Know, like, and trust. The more narrow your focus, the more expert you appear to your audience. And you don't lose clients. You actually filter for the right clients. And this is what we're doing with our messaging is it's really a way of filtering out, the people that aren't meant to work with you. And the more specific we can be, that helps that process. It makes it so much smoother and efficient. And we want to be efficient in everything we do. And we want to simplify everything. So let's do an exercise from the worksheet. And for everybody that's here today live, everything, the worksheet, the replay, this will all be found in the 5D Wellness community. So one question you need to answer is, if someone asks you, what do you do? What do you tell them? That it goes back to that elevator speech we always talk about, right? So let's define who first. So type your answer in the chat right now. Who exactly do you serve? If you could throw that in the chat, that would be great. We'll give you some time to do that. Who exactly do you serve? Put the answer in the chat. And try to be very specific. When you're specific enough, the person that you are speaking to, that your message is meant for, they know it. They're like, that's me, right? They can relate. They're talking to me. It's a fit. It's a good fit. And if your description fits mostly everyone, then actually it fits no one. See, we have to be specific. I know a lot of us tend to be really vague, really broad. We want to speak to everyone, but that's not the way. We want to be very specific. That way people can recognize themselves in what you're doing and offering. Right, Christine?
Absolutely. And noticing now it's important if the narrowing feels scary. I know it does to me, and it did, always did. When I still worked in brain health, mental health coaching, which I still do, I always thought I can help everybody that needs help. Yeah, that's why I struggled, right? And yeah, it's getting, look, yeah. And it's a process for us to overcome that fear. It's normal, but clarity creates safety. not exclusion for the right people.
That's right. Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, for us as wellness entrepreneurs, we're in wellness because we want to help people. We love to help people. So it makes sense that we would want to help everyone. But your messaging has to be much tighter and specific to really gain alignment. Message media market alignment is so big. So I see a lot of good stuff in the chat. That's awesome. All right, let's continue. So you may notice that most entrepreneurs describe surface problems, yet buyers act on emotional friction. And a surface level statement would sound like something like, I help people with nutrition. See, that's very broad, very vague. But a deeper version would sound something like, I help exhausted professionals regain sustainable energy. See, this is much more specific. It's speaking to a specific audience. Pain points convert. You know, people are looking for solutions to those pain points. And we need to speak their language because people don't buy transformation. They buy relief. They want relief, right? And you are going to bring that relief. And we want to make that message clear so they understand it. It attracts them. They're drawn to you. So let's go over a few examples of surface messages versus root messages. So a surface message would be, I help women with hormones. Very surface level, broad, vague. Really speaking to no one in particular. Now, let's talk about a root message. This would be something like, I help exhausted women over 50 stop feeling invisible and dismissed. You see the difference there? Big difference. More specific. Naming the root problem converts. That's what drives conversion. Another thing that's so important, very crucial, is to always speak your client's language, right? They may name their problem and how they experience it differently than you would speak about it. We want to speak in plain English all the time. Use the words they use. We want to stay away from clinical language, coaching language. We want to speak in their language. I think plain, simply English is the best, right? Let's get into another question for your worksheet. I see Christine's looking a little bored over there. I want to put her to work a little bit.
Okay, you mean no?
It gives me a chance to take a sip of some tea.
Of course.
So another question from the worksheet. What 3 recurring problems does your ideal client experience? Type 1 in the chat, one of these recurring problems that your clients experience. Put one of them in the chat. What is the real struggle your client faces? Not the polite version, but the honest one. Let's do about, 30, 45 seconds. Let you get that in there.
I always say, feel free to reiterate and try again and do this again, because you cannot do this exercise literally too often enough. One of the biggest mistakes I made in the beginning was to change my niche just because I didn't know how to be steady and actually keep the same niche, refine it, and then eventually get where I wanted to go. So
Right. Yeah, there's kind of a fine line there.
Think
We
about
want to be able to be fluid, but you don't want to change things too quickly sometimes. Refinement is good. Refine.
And the issue is sometimes we act out of our motivation and not out of what the client's motivation is. And if those two don't align, you don't have a client.
Yes, this is so true. How are we doing in the chat? Everything, are we good? Did everybody get their answers in? Christine, we good? We moving
Yeah,
on?
we got a few good ideas. Fear of coming out of the closet. Mostly it's things like that. Tired of trying to be everything to everyone. Excellent. And I probably forgot some. Feel stuck and frustrated with a burning sense, but they lack clarity, support, and confidence. Excellent. Distress. Yeah. I said fear of bankruptcy, wanting something, wanting confidence, wanting notoriety, in the end, wanting to earn something. Signs of aging. Yeah, they hate aging, right? It's an emotion behind it. They look at the mirror, they see their wrinkly face and said, oh my God, I'm gonna die soon. There's fear again, fear of death, fear of illness. Yeah, improve how I feel about myself, right? There's a fear. I hate myself, fear of yourself, lack of acceptance, some lack, some fear, some need. There's always something deeper, an emotion, right?
Right.
If they don't feel secure about themselves, they lack self-confidence. So secretly at night, when they
Yes,
lay in bed, what they
yes,
think,
exactly.
yeah, they hate themselves. They say, oh my God, I'm a loser. I'm a failure. I can't do anything right. Believe me, I know how that feels and it's awful.
Oh yeah. Yep. All right.
And they need you to help them solve the problem. And
Exactly. Yes. So next, let's talk about outcomes.
mm,
What's the outcome you deliver? Right. Type one word in the chat if you can. What outcome do you deliver? And here's the rule. Outcomes must be tangible. This is so important. Not just improve something or not just transform your life, but rather something like, you know, help you sleep through the night. I help you lose 10 pounds in 30 days, or stop feeling anxious about income, or
mhm.
start feeling confident. Specific outcomes reduce hesitation and bring about relief.
That's interesting what we get in the chat. I think this is a big issue because there's a agency I see here, which is great. Everybody wants to have agency or be self-reliant, which is another word for that. Freedom. Of course, we want freedom, but what does it mean, right? It's very general. Freedom can mean, can I do whatever I want, which is impossible in any society? Or what does freedom exactly mean? It's not specific, right, Gerry? Happy parents, happy children, happy family. Exactly. Everybody wants it. But how do you define that?
Yeah.
How can you measure that? Freedom from self-judgment. Is there ever freedom from self-judgment? But if there is, how do you quantify that? It's
Yes, this is one that takes some time. You really have to dig into this a little bit and take some time with it. It is hard, it is challenging to be super specific.
And I put ours in just as an example, and it may not be good enough, like a steady stream of paying clients, because anybody that is in this business wants it, right? That's the outcome we can help you get in consistent income. Now, the time frame is something else. And I know I like Christian Mickelson. Many of you will know the same. And he always said, and I still remember that, success is inevitable. Timing is unknown, right?
That's right.
It's a good one. Feeling good in your body like you were young again. Now, this is something I can imagine. I can
I
feel
like that a lot.
dancing around the floor.
That is very good. Yes. That you feel that, right? I'm just reading that and hearing it. I actually feel it like, yes, this is something that people can relate to for sure. That's so
Love
good.
that.
Awesome.
Authentic self-expression, traction. Traction is a word that can mean many things, but you need to define it. Accomplishment of goals. Yeah. What goals? Deep sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. Yeah, that is a good one. Yeah.
Yes.
You want to feel satisfied, fulfilled,
Hmm.
good about themselves generally. Now, if you quantify that somehow, that would be a big win. It's difficult, but you can do it. I have used, what is it, the quality of life scale, something like that. And you can actually set you start at a quality of life that's a 2, and after you work with me for a year, you end up on an 8. Now that feels 100% better, or more than 100%.
Yes.
That's
I like that.
You can actually quantify that. And I like David Burns, who has, I think, done very good work on quantifying emotional issues.
Yeah.
I recommend his books.
All right. Identity shift. You know, when people buy, they buy the future version of themselves, right? They want a solution. They see themselves where they want to be. They don't know how to get there. And that's why they want to connect with you and work with you. Who do they want to become? They want to become calm. They want to become confident or resourceful, right? What's the outcome? This is important. This is what gets people visualizing where they want to be.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, is this outcome measurable? Is it emotionally meaningful? Can my clients picture it?
Hmm.
These are all important.
Can they feel it, right?
Right. Yeah. You want them to feel it. You know, like that one we spoke about earlier. It really made you feel something. So here's a question for you. How do you think the lose 10 pounds in 30 days measures up here? What would you say, Christine?
I think it's pretty good, because if you can help me to lose 10 pounds in 30 days, and I think that me being 10 pounds overweight is the only reason why I can't get a love partner of my life, which of course is not correct. But if they think it, and many people do, that it's their weight that's holding them back, just ask people that go to Weight Watchers, and they tell you why they go there. Oh, I want to look good. I want to get a better partnership, and all the nonsense that follows from that. But right, I'd want to know the benefits of losing 10 pounds. To what end? Yeah, become like Twiggy. Yeah, become a famous star. That's right. And there has to be a reasonable, and it's depending on your state of mind. But if you're a weight loss coach and you have a program that helps people to lose weight, you will get people that start with you because they want to look better and think that they get a love partner easier, and similar things like that. And we'll break that down, of course, in our Bloom programs and in our mentorship in detail, and help you around the pitfalls that are coming along. Now, not everybody wants to lose weight. And yes, Farrokh will answer your question after the presentation. There will be time, or you can have a discussion with anybody in the group, please. Thank you. Now, this is absolutely something that many people, of course, want. It's a big industry, weight loss. And in the beginning, I said, I don't want to do what other people do because there's already so much on the market. And Gerry, I think I told you that story, why it is a myth. Oh yeah, I like to talk because we get to that, right? Hit me when you
Yeah,
get
we'll
there.
get there. We'll get there. And if we don't get to something, Christine, always jump in and whenever you need to as well. And we can always take questions in the chat at any time. And, at the end, hopefully we'll have time for some questions. But if you have questions during the presentation, go ahead and ask them in the chat and Christine will get back to you in there. So let's check out this framework here. Let's do this one in the chat right here because this one it's got a few parts to it, right? This is a full framework. Plug this in the chat. Who do you help? What problem do you help them with? And what solution do you bring to get them where they want to be? I'll give you guys some time since this is a 3-part framework here. I'll give you some time to get this in the chat. And try to be specific and apply what we've been talking about. This is important. This goes back to that elevator speech. You want to be able to lay it out there in one breath. Simple, clear, concise language. Pique their interest.
And I can always say, I've done this exercise over and over and over, and it's always good to do it again until it flows out of your mouth whenever you meet somebody that asks on a networking meeting or when you meet somebody on the street, oh, you're a coach, so what do you do? So I help women who struggle with being overweight so they can feel better and dance play with their grandchildren. The ideal response you get from that is, oh, how do you do that? That's basically your 15-second elevator statement or whatever you want to call it. It's all the same. That is exactly what you want to achieve.
Right. Yeah, that's success. When somebody asks you how you do it.
And most people,
perfect.
they will listen to you saying that and politely say, okay, or thanks, or interesting. And that's not a prospect, right? So you eliminate people that are not interested and find people that may be interested in 15 seconds.
Excellent.
I hope you're all writing down in your script. And if you got anything, feel free to drop it in the chat. Young adults coming out, feel free. That is, I help young adults who struggle with coming out so they can feel free. Okay. That's not a bad start, Farouk. Good job. Thank you.
Yeah. Do we have something we can refine? Do you have something we can work with, Christine, or we can kind of come up with something so we can make some tweaks, make it better, make it more specific, especially if we have something that's kind of broad.
Absolutely. We have 2 really nice statements. Young adults that she helps. They struggle with coming out, which is, I think, could use some refinement, right? Think about it. How can you make that more specific? What does it really mean? Say, for example, if those young adults want to come out because they are gay, I would want to specifically say that coming out, being the person being gay, coming out as gay. So that they can feel free or whatever they come out. I mean,
yeah, coming out's kind of vague. It doesn't really tell you what
exactly as
we're
what
looking for there.
They may come out that they are something different than everybody said. Yeah, a person can be much more than gay. That's correct. So that's why it's not specific enough. I didn't know exactly what you mean by coming out.
Right.
So this is exactly what Gerry is teaching. What does Eva say? Women over 40 who struggle with signs of aging, so they can feel young again. Now, signs of aging. Is that specific, Gerry?
Seems like we could be more specific there, I think. What do you think, Christine?
Let me think about.
You have that
Yeah,
science background, right?
actually, that would be interesting because I would ask what signs of aging are they struggling with? And in a landing page, for example, on a webinar, I would name only one or two or maximum three signs of aging because there's many, right? That your product or service can address. For
Great point.
example, you have a cream that gets rid of those aging spots that many old people hate, or that makes the skin firmer, like those famous skin firming creams. You want to say women over 50 that struggle with an aging skin that wrinkles and has brown spots. So
I like
they
it.
feel beautiful and young again. And then put a picture on a beautiful woman against another one. And you've seen many that are fake. I don't recommend that because most products don't actually solve that problem. But if you have real testimonials, and Gerry will talk about that later, they belong there.
That makes a lot of sense, Christine. And I understand we want to sometimes I think we lean to keeping our message broad because we want to expand that audience. But what we really want to do is tighten it up as much as possible. You need to pick one um, aging challenge that you want to focus on. Like Christine said, age spots, something that I'm sure there's several things that you can work against to prevent aging. But what is the one specific reason? You have to pick one. Is it the wrinkles? Is it the age spots? Pick one, and that way you narrow that message down to a really tight, specific group, and that's who you're speaking to. So we can't
And of
speak to
course,
all of them.
no, and pick one that their product or service actually solves the best. Because if I say, take this medication, and I know it doesn't do what I promise them it will do, that is, of course, misleading to say the least. And I hate fake advertising, and most people do. It ruins your reputation very fast if you do
Oh,
that.
yeah. Right.
Don't
Yeah, you don't
lie.
want to do that.
We are not politicians. We don't lie, right, Gerry?
Yes.
At least we try not to. What else we have? We have some interesting responses here. Women over 4, I think you mean 40, they struggle with feeling trapped and like an imposter in their own life. Yeah, now that's a good one. I wonder if that could be shortened eventually, and not right away, but over the long run, like that feel fake or something. Right? Because imposter is a very specific word. Do they really use it, your audience? If they use it, like coaches, we use imposter syndrome, right? Because we don't feel we deserve all the money that we're asking for, but we do. And is that what your audience struggles with? And it's helpful to interview your audience and ask them, how do you feel like? What are you looking to achieve? What would be the ideal outcome? And Gerry will talk about that in the enrollment call, is something like it. We'll teach.
Yeah. And that's a great point.
Yeah.
That speaks to what we talked about earlier about speaking in their language. And I think that was a perfect example, where we all understand imposter syndrome. Your clients probably don't. So you need to find a way to reframe that. So it's
And
in
I
their
think
words
what
that
it
they'll
meant,
understand.
and I remember I felt like that when I was even working as a physician, I felt fake inside. I didn't really know who I was, and I felt fake. So this is a feeling you can address, or you can ask and interview your audience. And I love what we heard here. She said, I need to do more research. Sorry, can't hear you. I muted you again. I apologize. I need to do more research, and that's fair enough. And we all need to do research. And in the end, every enrollment call that you book is research. Don't do perfect research and never start actually talking to people. The best research is getting people on a call. Free call is fine. And then ask them questions and listen to their answers. And that's hard to do for people like me that like to talk. Gerry chuckles because he's a good listener, right? That's why you ask the questions.
Listening is so important. People will tell you exactly what they need when you just take the time to listen. And then, you'll catch those words, those certain words that give you an idea of what they're looking for. They'll tell you what they want and what they need, but you got to listen.
Yeah, and it's really hard to tighten and formulate that in a very concise way. And you can actually learn when you watch advertisements.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them are amazing, and don't feel bad if you just copy the message that somebody else is successful with. That's what everybody does. People don't buy because you're unique. People buy because you're you.
That's right.
You're unique, but your product, your service is probably not. I know ours is not, but we are unique, right, Gerry?
That's right. Yes, very unique. So let's talk about why does the yes happen faster when you communicate clearly, right? Because clarity reduces decision time, relevance, regulation, and trust all reduce decision time. This is talking about removing that friction again. You get to a faster yes when you communicate clearly because you removed friction. So it's a smoother path forward for your clients. We know confused brains often stall out, right? It just kind of hits the brakes on everything. But when your brain's clear, it can decide, it can make those decisions that we're looking for. Right, Christine?
Absolutely. And we know from neuroscience that you can actually find that the decision making happens 15 milliseconds or something like that before you even become aware that you made a decision. So there's the question, are you making the decision, or does your brain make the decision and then you become aware of the brain's decision? Dr. Amen talks about that. That's why it's stuck in my brain, and I thought, who is really the one making the decisions here? Who am I, right? That's the questions your audience struggles with. And safety creates trust. And I know we have havening practitioners in our audience, havening trainers in our audience. I became a havening practitioner because I'm looking for safety too. We're human, Gerry and I. So that is important. And the amygdala needs to be feeling regulated. And it's important that you do that for your people, and the right words and actions can do that. Because trust creates enrollment. Safety creates trust. Trust creates enrollment. It calms your stress center. It calms your amygdala. And relevance and regulation equals trust. And you know what? Clarity hits all three. Because really, when the brain scans for relevance, it always does, it finds itself in what you say. And then it can relax. The big exhale.
Yes, that's what we want. And Christine's an expert in this area, brain health, and I really wanted to get some of her insight on that. So thank you so much for sharing that, Christine. That was excellent.
And really only relaxed brains can decide. And
that's right. Yeah. Yep. So when your message feels certain in your body, your clients feel it, right? They can feel that energy. It like radiates right through the screen. And certainty, regulates, and regulation builds trust, and trust builds enrollments. You know, we talk about know, like, and trust. And that's why consistency matters as well. Getting your message out there and getting in front of your clients, they need to see you. They need to get to know you. That's where you build that trust. So important. Here's the framework again. This is a quick reminder slide. Maybe you're more clear now from when we first did this exercise. And this is something that you will always go back to because you will always refine your message as you grow and things change. You got to remain fluid. So this message will change over time. And of course, you'll find the replay and the worksheet and everything we're doing here today and so much more in the 5D wellness community. So you'll be able to have this framework in front of you and work on it, tweak it. Like I mentioned earlier, this takes some time. This takes some serious thought and time, and to become as specific as you can. It makes your messaging so much more effective when you can be very specific. You're talking to a small group, not the whole world. And the more you can refine that and tighten that up, the more you'll see that your message actually lands. It's so important.
Now, Gerry, I noticed that we are probably will go a little bit past the time. Now, if that doesn't work for you specifically, it's fine to exit. We will finish the whole session, even if it lasts longer. I just wanted to let you know, if you have the time to stay, you're welcome. We're happy to have you. If not, we invite you to watch the replay in the community because this topic here is so important. Gerry and I chewed on that for a long time ourselves, and we absolutely wanted to share that with you properly. Thanks, Gerry.
Thank you, Christine. Yeah, it's perfect. If you're able to stay, awesome. If not, you have the replay. We have had a lot of engagement. You guys are an awesome group. I love the engagement. So that kind of, stretches the time a little bit, but I'm enjoying it and I hope you are too. So speaking of the chat, let's get back to the chat. Where do you still feel vague? Type one word in the chat. Where do you still feel vague?
Mm.
And whatever that one word is, this is your next refinement layer. This is where you have some work, right? There's some growth there for you. So that's important. Nailing down my value proposition.
Yeah.
Outcome, clarity. Very good. So this is telling you this is where you can refine it more, right? If you're vague in a certain area, there's some work to be done there. That means you're not specific enough. And this framework takes some time to really refine it to a level that's landing. So don't be afraid to put time and effort into this one.
Gerry, and that's why I always tend to talk about the ascension spiral, and people often don't know what I mean. What I mean is many people just always run in circles, but really we revisit similar topics over time, over and over again, but then we get on higher levels, higher levels, higher levels until we reach clarity, a goal. And that's what I call the ascension spiral, because we're going round and revisiting the same themes. It applies to our life, it applies to business. The older I get, the more I see it clearly, right? Wayne Dyer said, I can see it clearly now. And that's an effect that we want, that's human.
Yes, exactly. This is true. It's always a work in progress. There's always improvements to be made. There's always growth to be had. And once clarity is strong, content becomes simple because clarity makes content easier. And this is what we want. Now, there are only 3 types of content you need. And the 3 types are, first, you have problem content. And then there's myth busting content and future identity content. So let's start with problem content. This is where you speak directly to the problem, to the pain points your clients are experiencing. And then there's the myth busting content. This is where you correct misconceptions. And also future identity content. I love this one. This is where you paint the future. You show them what it looks like without you being in it, without your guidance. And then you show them what outcome they will achieve with your support. What does that look like? This is the picture we want to paint. That you want to show them where they'll be without you and where they'll end up with you. That's what drives them to want to work with you. They're like, oh my gosh, I can reach my goals. So good. And if your content doesn't support one of these, it creates noise. And we're trying to eliminate all the noise, the unnecessary noise. So let's have a look at each of these again for a quick recap. Number 1, speak to the problem. Number 2, correct misconceptions. Number 3, paint the future. Show them. So they need to be able to visualize that future. This is so important. I want to break it down a little more. I want to go over it again. The 3 necessary content types. Number 1, problem content. It's where you speak to the struggle directly. Number 2, myth busting content, where you challenge common misunderstandings. And the 3rd, very important type of content, I love this one, is the future identity content. And this is where you show them the after, right? You have before and after pictures. You're showing them the after where they've achieved their goals. What does that look like? What does it look like to work with you and get to where they want to be? So big. This is so big. And if your content doesn't support one of these 3 types, it's creating more noise. And that just creates more friction. And that's, you don't get anywhere with that. So let's do a quick internal audit of what you currently post on social media. Let's type it in the chat. What are you posting that doesn't directly support your core offer? Are you posting cat videos? Are you posting your morning coffee? You posting what you're eating for lunch? That type of stuff, right? It doesn't directly support your current offer. Type that in the chat if you're posting some of that stuff that doesn't directly support your current offer, your core offer. This is a good one. I know we've all done this and probably still do this.
And I've done all of that, like random quotes, random jokes that I liked. Okay, fair posts, pride
Yeah,
flags, trans flags. Okay.
you might get some views and some likes, but it's not really driving your business forward or helping you in your business at all, right? So is it worth doing? Does it make sense?
It does have to have some effect. For example, when we post our weekly Bible quotes, I really love that. On Sundays, they're beautiful images and it's gorgeous. Inspirational posts, love that.
Yeah. And we always relate it to business though, as well,
Yeah,
though. We relate it to being a wellness entrepreneur. So it does have a tie-in there.
yeah. And that's fair enough. Somebody else said, I haven't been posting anything for your business, and you can use social media just uh, for fun, like most people, and get clients from Bark is, I think, a client service, getting your strategy and backend sounded first. Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you. There's lots of lead generation services that you can use to
This is true.
appointment booking. VAs abound. If you're ever interested, Gerry and I can help you make sure you get somebody that is reliable and doesn't overcharge you.
Yeah. So random content creates noise. And we've talked about noise a lot today. We're trying to eliminate that noise. So you want to refrain from posting so much of that random stuff. I can see throwing one in here every once in a while because you want to maybe change it up or something, but let's not make a habit of doing that all the time. It's good to maybe lighten the mood here and there. And, as we know, there's already too much noise on social media anyway. So much so that we've kind of pulled away from that, and pretty much everyone there is already overwhelmed. And I think you get trapped sometimes in that social media where maybe you go on there to post a random post and then you next thing you know, you're scrolling through, and next thing you know, 30 minutes or an hour gone by of time just wasted on really nonsense. Possibly. Depends on, I guess, your feed. I don't know what you're doing there. But clarity creates momentum, and that's what we want. And this is why Christine and I really can only be found now in the 5D wellness community. You really won't find us on, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, LinkedIn so much. We're focused on the community where we can interact with all our awesome members like you. And that's why we built the community to kind of get us away from that social media trap that we all tend to fall into. And because when you get stuck there for 30 minutes or an hour or even longer, think about it on a daily basis. How much time does that add up to over a week's time or a month's time? How much time did you spend there just mindless scrolling? That's not productive for your business. And clarity equals calm growth, which leads to less hustle and more alignment. And that's what we want, is that alignment. That's what we're trying to achieve. More alignment will bring sustainable momentum. This is huge, sustainable momentum. And the truth is, you don't need more platforms, but you do need sharper clarity because simplicity reduces burnout. And that's huge because you know what burnout leads to? That leads to you stepping back or giving up altogether. You get burned out, you're like, I've had enough, I'm done. So we want to avoid burnout at all costs. And perfectionism is often fear of clarity, and this delays growth. Anyone here a perfectionist? I know Christine is a recovering, look, she's already raising her hand. I didn't even get it out. She's a recovering perfectionist, right?
Absolutely. And like with recovering alcoholics, you really never totally recover. Thank you. Peggy is a friend of mine. She's also a recovering perfectionist. Yeah. You got that one right,
Yeah,
Gerry.
fixing things that are not broken. That's perfectionism, right?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
You
So
should
here's what
post
we've
that
said
on
today
social
in short.
media.
When your message is unclear, systems will make things worse. But when your message is clear, systems will amplify it. This is what we want. And this is where Bloom comes in, because inside Bloom, we build done with you clarity refinement. We build client pipelines. We build ethical automation, and we build sustainable systems. But it all starts with clarity. Clarity is the theme of the day, right? So we hope now that you know that your next step is not more content. not more platforms, not more strategies. It is sharper clarity. And if today helped you even slightly, we would love to have you join us inside the 5D Wellness Forum. If you're not already a member there, you should definitely check it out. It's a peaceful online space for wellness entrepreneurs who want to build businesses without burning out and without experiencing cognitive overload. That's a big one right there. I know we've all felt that. And inside the forum, you'll find frameworks, templates, and real conversations. You'll find the replay from today and from all our Ascend series events. And it's a supportive community, and it's the place to be in 2026 and beyond. This is a long-term endeavor we're doing here. So if you're not a member, here's the QR code. You could scan it right now. Take your phone out, scan it, and that'll take you to the forum, to the front porch, we call it. And that's where you'll find the replay and the worksheet and everything else I mentioned. It's a great place. Check it out. I think you'll love it. There's never pressure there, just alignment, just supportive. It's a supportive community of people that are trying to do the same thing. And for those that feel ready for deeper systems, Bloom is the next step for you. So if you only take one thing away from today, it's that you don't have to keep grinding and hustling. There is a better way. And that's what Christine and I bring to the community, is the better way. We teach you how to do things in a simpler way. We show you how to achieve clarity in your messaging. And this, we deliver this, this community respects your energy and boundaries. And it's definitely a place to look at. I think you'll be amazed at what we have, what we're building there. And we want you to be part of it. So in wrapping up, if there's any questions, we went a little over, so we probably don't have time for questions, but be sure to join us next week. Next week, we're talking about offers that feel good to sell. You'll learn how to design offers that are ethical, aligned, and sustainable, and that you confidently offer without pressure or manipulation. This is big, and this is what we're all about. So join us next week for sure. Thank you all for being here. I've enjoyed this so much. You take care. We'll see you next time.